Hi, my name is Caleb Calican. I'm going to do a movie presentation on 2010's Shutter Island by Martin Scorsese. So, just to get into the characters a little bit, Teddy Daniels, which is played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Teddy is a deputy marshal and has PTSD from World War II and has PTSD as well from his wife's death. Um, Another character in the movie, Andrew Latis, which is played by Elias Cortez, is a repairman in our apartment, and he was known as a firebug. He was really addicted to fire and lighting things on fire, and he lit the so-called match that killed Teddy's wife uh, when they lived in the apartment. But the thing about it is, Andrew Latis is actually Teddy. It's just an alternate personality that Teddy has. So Lester Sheen is also a main character. He is Teddy's partner, Chuck. He's played by Mark Ruffalo. In his actual role is Andrew's primary psychiatrist. But in the delusion that Teddy has, he is his partner, Chuck. Deputy McPherson is also an important character. He's played by John Carroll Lynch. He's the head of security on Shutter Island. He's not the warden, but he's just right under him. Um, the whole leader of Shutter Island is Doctor Cawley, played by Ben Kingsley. He's the main head psychiatrist on the island, and he's a well-achieved man, and he's very well known, and he's the runner of the whole facility. Rachel Solando is played by Emily Mortimer. She's the escaped mental facility patient. It's the whole reason they come to the island. This is actually Teddy's wife. Um, she is also the next character, Dolores, which is played by Michelle Ingrid Williams, which is Andrew's wife. But it's just a whole part of the whole delusion, but it's really the same person. Dolores was insane and suicidal, and she was the one that actually killed her three kids, Andrew's three kids. So some of the psychological concepts that are exemplified in the movie. So to start with, obviously PTSD. Teddy has this from World War II, mainly from concentration camps, and he also has it from his wife's death. It also plays into his next concept, which is delusional disorder. They played it hand in hand because he's created a delusion where he thinks his wife died in a fire caused by somebody else, but it was his alternate personality that he blames it on. So a couple of scenes from the movie where it's exemplified is the lighthouse, the main lighthouse on the island. He believes it's a torture chamber for the patients, but really it's just nothing actually in there, but he's got this fixated in his mind. There's another part in the movie where Chuck falls off the cliff and he's seen in the water. This is all part of his delusion. Chuck wasn't actually even with him at this time. And he just fails to trust anyone. Teddy doesn't trust anyone in the entire facility. He thinks they're out to get him, and he thinks it's all a big scheme going on when really Teddy's a part of the facility, and his name is actually Andrew, but it's just a whole delusion he's come up with. He also has dissociative identity disorder. Obviously, thinks he's, Teddy thinks he's himself, but really he's Andrew Latis, and he believes he's still a marshal, but he's not. After he murdered his wife, he lost that and went to the facility. But so a quick summary of the plot. I'm just gonna run through this real quick. Teddy Daniels and his partner Chuck embark on a case to find an escaped patient on Shutter Island. Once Daniels and Chuck arrive on the island, they are convinced something bigger is going on, and they figure this out through patient interrogations and actions of the facility staff, like them withholding information. Um, Daniels and Chuck go on a journey to find out the secret experiments that are so-called being taken place on the island, and they also are there. Or Teddy's there to find Andrew Latis, which is actually himself, but he's looking for the murder of his wife. After a short time there, the facility found the missing patient, but Daniels and Chuck believe there's something more than meets the eye, so they continue their case. This causes Daniels and Chuck to explore the island looking for Latis in the so-called experiment rooms. Daniel and his partner get separated while trying to find the supposed rooms used on the patient, and while they're separated, they play into this idea where when Andrew gets back to the facility, they're saying Chuck never existed, and he thinks this whole part of them trying to convince him that he's insane, and the island is trying to make him stay there. So while they're at this part where they're separated from each other, Teddy and Chuck, he meets the so-called real woman who escaped. This is all figment of his imagination again. It doesn't actually really happen. It's part of his delusional disorder. But so once he gets back to the facility, he's believing they're trying to make him stay there. So he tries to escape. He ends up escaping from the facility and go to the lighthouse where he thinks Chuck might be held up. He gets there, finds out it's a whole scheme, and they reveal to him his real identity. And the movie ends with him slipping back into his PTSD and delusional disorder after he's convinced back out of it, but he just keeps slipping back into this reoccurring thing because he can't accept that he was the one that actually killed his wife. So about the movie, I think it's definitely worth watching. It gave great insight to how these psychological concepts are in like first person, because you're at this whole viewpoint of Andrew Laeddis and Teddy, and he thinks all this is happening around him when really it's just all in his mind, and it gives great insight to how these concepts actually work. I give the movie a solid 8 out of 10. It exemplified everything really well. It was really well shot and believable, and it really gave you a good insight as well into these psychological concepts. So thank you for your time. My name is Caleb Calico.